So what do you think of Detroit? Tell me about Detroit. Let's talk politics in Detroit. Are you from Detroit?
No, this is my second time in Detroit. We're actually from the Poconos,
Okay.
Pennsylvania. So
Well, let me tell you about
this.
Detroit then. So Detroit has done like many cities. They've tried to develop things like casinos and these huge sports complexes. But the problem is right outside of this, if you go a block or two, you go into these areas where everything it looks like a bomb. And it's this problem, and we've had this problem in the last 10, 15 years of cities thinking, oh, if we build a nice sports complex, the rest of the city would fall in line. But really what happens is they build these nice sports complexes. Very few people get a lot of money and they take their money outside of the city or go other places. And then you have the shell of the city with this nice sports complex in the middle and all the poverty around it. They're trying to do that in Pittsburgh right now. Poconos also has casinos. Do you think that they work?
The Pocono Raceway and the
Yeah.
Tech and all that stuff.
Does it work for the city? Is the city...
To be honest, there are no cities in
Yeah.
Poconos.
Okay, so the surrounding
There's
community.
a raceway and then...
So it's all based on all the
Yeah.
industry is based on the
It's
casinos
mostly
and
tourism
attractions.
based.
Yeah.
So actually there's a lot of people that it works out for us because I went to public school.
Okay.
And so we got a lot of property tax money from people on vacation homes.
From the property taxes. Did you also take taxes
property
from
tax.
the casino and their racetrack winnings?
Yeah, they like all their taxes. So it works out really well for us because the money gets put into the school system,
Yeah.
but there's more money going into the school system than like kids that are going to the school system. Like the kids who people on vacation homes are sending their children to
Yeah.
the public schools, and then so it worked out really well for my school. But the surrounding area is kind of depressed, so it's like I went to the nicest public school in the area with the most depressed economic area around.
Yeah.
So it worked out really nice for us.
Yeah, but wouldn't it be better if everybody got to share all that and we could lift everybody up instead of just having a small group of people? That's always the problem.
Only everybody get jobs.
Well, and again, in Pittsburgh, that's what they're doing. They're bringing a casino in. They're like, oh, we're gonna have all these well-paid jobs, but they're all service industry jobs. They're all jobs, cleaning and hotel service and stuff like that, which are good jobs. They're not raise 3 kids and put kids through college jobs. They're to get a second job to get by on jobs, and that's not helping anybody.
So what's your solution?
My solution? Well, thank God you asked me my solution. Well, we have this thing called NAFTA, which allowed all the manufacturing jobs to be sent to Mexico and other places. I think if we would keep those manufacturing jobs in the States, this is, and we'll go to an example of an industry that I know a lot about because of what we do. Garment manufacturing and t-shirt manufacturing. It's very difficult to get t-shirts made in the States because they shipped all those jobs to Pakistan, Central America, and other places. So now we're just sending finished goods. We have just finished goods being shipped back to the States. So all that money again is no longer being, instead of having a guy down the street manufacturing t-shirts and having a good job doing that, we're sending all those jobs to Southeast Asia, paying these people very little money, and there's there's 1 or 2 people, maybe 3 people in the States who are making a whole bunch of money because they're getting really cheap labor in other places. And that's not helping everybody. It's very few people making a whole bunch and not spreading the wealth out there. So it's the same thing. If in Pittsburgh, for example, we invested in the steel industry, the infrastructures that were going on there, had clean steel production, and those were good paying jobs, but instead we shipped all those jobs to other places, and now there's other places making steel, and we have a lot of people out of work in Pittsburgh. So when you look on the back of your products and you realize that none of them are made in the States, those are all people who used to have jobs who no longer have good paying jobs.
So
That's just one example.
would you consider yourself, I know that you guys consider yourself anti-fascist, anti-war, anti-nationalist. I read on the internet you
Yes.
consider yourself anti-nationalist.
Sure, yes.
Would you include in that like anti-capitalism and
No, I am definitely an anti-capitalist. I think that that in the U.S. we think that capitalism is freedom and freedom is capitalism. And I don't believe that's the case. I think capitalism is not free. I think that right now we have a healthcare system that is a capitalist healthcare system, and it leads to the enslavement of the population. A lot in the States, if I have a job that I hate, and I'm like, oh man, I hate this job, I want to get another job, but I can't get another job because this job is paying for my health care. Now I don't have freedom because I have to keep this job that I hate with this boss who sucks, because if I leave, then I don't have health care. If I had, government-sponsored health care, then I could leave that job and go to another job because I wouldn't have to worry about my health care situation. There's a lot of people right now who are working just because they want the health care. I have a lot of friends who are like, man, I'd love to be doing something else, but I have to be working a shitty job because if I don't have health care, it's way too expensive for myself and my family. So I think that is one example of where capitalism is not one of infinite numbers of why capitalism doesn't equal freedom. And then the other thing is, the people who sing the praises of capitalism are always the corporate leaders. And they're like, oh, we need capitalism, we need capitalism, we need capitalism. But in reality, they're getting the most socialized version of capitalism because there's tariffs on other goods coming into the country, or there's government support for different things. From all the way down to, if I want Coca-Cola, I think we should have a free market for Coca-Cola. But how do I get Coca-Cola to all these other places? I use the road system. Who pays for the road system? All those poor schmucks who are drinking the Coca-Cola. Mr. Coca-Cola is not paying to have roads in place so he can transport his products. So that is where we all want there's always free market, really. Free market, free market, free market. But let's have you guys pay for all the infrastructure. Let's have you pay for all these other things that we need to keep. We need to have all the money as Mr. Coca-Cola, and you guys have freedom.
So thumbs down on Andrew Carnegie.
Andrew Carnegie, not my friend. And it's interesting because Andrew Carnegie is had a lot of connections in Pittsburgh. He has a lot of libraries. There's a university, Carnegie Mellon in Pittsburgh, and Carnegie was a great businessman. He made a lot of money and he gave back libraries, but he also paid his workers very little money and amassed a lot of wealth because he didn't share that wealth with the people who were actually making the money. If he would have shared that wealth, we would have had less need for libraries because people would have had access to get their own books. Instead, he kept them all poor and then gave them trinkets and libraries later on, which I would rather have. I'd rather him have libraries than give nothing back. But I think it would have been better to have given back earlier by giving better wages and allowing unions and not killing strikers and things like that.
I was reading stuff about that not too long ago.
Yeah. Well, if you and you guys are in Poconos, it's not as there's the Johnstown Flood. Have you ever been to that museum?
No.
Okay. In the central Pennsylvania, there's a town called Johnstown where all the rich people, the Carnegies, the Mellons, I think they all had these summer homes up on this lake, and because they were not paying attention to the lake, the dam broke in the lake, flooded this whole town and killed all these people. And this is in the late 1800s. And so it's just another example of why those people are bad. That's all I got. Bad people. Because they killed. They killed people even unintentionally. They still killed people. So yeah, look at the Johnstown Flood and the history of the Johnstown Flood. Hi, this is Pathetic from Anti-Flag, and you're watching the one, the only Heartthrob TV.